And a lot of times kids don't understand that, when they're trying to protect that lead, they're most vulnerable because the other guy's really going to do something big, and all you're going to do is try to shut him down.
Well, Mark was just talking about that with Metcalf. That's not so with Brent Metcalf.
Absolutely not. It's never been with some of the real great ones, so here we go, I guess.
Cyler Sanderson, Iowa State singlet, the red ankle band, going up against Chris Bono, former NCAA champion for Iowa State, the coach at Chattanooga, Tennessee, and the old sage, must be about 34, 35 years old. Cyler Sanderson, a junior, and 10-0. Chris Bono unattached, and surprised to see Bono wrestling here?
No, not really. I'm surprised that more open wrestlers don't compete in this anymore. I know it's not freestyle, number one, and you got plenty of places to go now in freestyle. But I just think that sometimes you need matches, and if you don't have a match and you're getting ready for a match in Russia in a month, you might need to be in here.
Pick it up,
just wrestling's wrestling, even if it's a little bit different.
Well,
it's not that much different.
Dan, what I've always felt is one hard match is equivalent to one good workout in terms of the conditioning you get. And if you're getting in 5 good matches here, in the course of 2 days, that's a lot of conditioning.
Well, I just think it's from the mental preparation. You just don't get to our wrestlers, and I think that's one of the things that Zeke Jones is looking at. How many times we've wrestled over the year. These college guys go 35, 45 times. Sometimes our Olympic guys may only go 5, 10, 15 times, and I think you got to push that up a little bit. And sometimes if you want to enter a takedown tournament, or if you want to enter the Midlands, there's good competition. You have to go through the butterflies because it's a different style as well, and you got to use a little bit of strategy. And if you're tough enough, if you think you win the Olympics, you probably can win the Midlands. But at the same time, it is a little different style, but you still got to be able to adapt a little bit.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of wrestlers, Dan, that just feel like, hey, once I start making that shift to freestyle or Greco, coming back to folk style is just too difficult, or maybe it'll mess me up. Or
2 points for Chris Bono, and he scores the first here between the old guy and the young guy.
It may not be a takedown.
Here we coming in. I tell you, Bono does such a good job of coming off that head and snagging those knees.
No points.
No points.
I think he called it out of bounds, what he did. He called it out of bounds. He kind of slid out.
And so he didn't have control before they went out.
Yeah, I think when the action stopped, when he gave 2, it was maybe a couple inches out, but it could have went either way. It's usually, a lot of times if there was a break that, if you make the call one way or the other, you might go with the offensive guy, but it's early in the match yet, so, it's hard to tell. But anyway, it's like MMA, okay, or, some of these fighting things. I mean, obviously you don't want to go to your back in this sport here, but, you got to get nervous before you fight an MMA fight, and so our Olympic committee right now and our USA Wrestling, we're losing some people to some of these fighting things because they make more money. And, they got to start thinking about how they work together. And, maybe an MMA match might not be bad just from a standpoint of some type of preparation. And the kids can make some money. But at the same time, you don't want to lose kids to that because we need our top guys in the Olympic freestyle program.
Yeah, you're right. And that's a tricky fence to straddle.
Well, that's why they got to get together. I mean,
yeah.
It's like you can't just have the NCAA and the NGB USA Wrestling always apart because there's certain things that we need in our sport. And in the last few years, Bob Bowlesby and Shear, Jim Shear, and those guys, people from the NCAA and the USOC have been working together a little bit more. And there are some opportunities that make sense for college athletes, or it could make sense for Olympic athletes to do something MMA or come back. But definitely, we don't want to bypass the opportunity to make money, but we don't want to bypass the opportunity to win Olympic gold medal because that's obviously money too.
Well, the end of the first period is coming close here. It's 0-0, and back to the Iowa State meet. Cyler Sanders, he's not his brother, but he's really coming on. And in that Iowa State meet, he had a good match.
He was just in on shots all the time. And the things about the Sandersons, when they get in, they usually finish because there's not a whole lot of defensive positions that you can get to when they in on ankles and knees. So he kept getting to the ankles and knees. He kept scoring. The bottom line.
And your point is, when they get in, and that's easier said than done against Chris Bono. Why?
because Bono's got some freestyle down blocking positions, and he's really solid in his defense, and you need to have that at that Olympic level as well, any level. But you know, he's moving in there. Sanderson's moving in very well, and that's how you score. You got to move. You don't just shoot. You got to have a setup, and that right there action where he was moving back and forth was creating some openings. But you know, Bono's a veteran athlete, and he kept rebounding to very good position.
Well, you're listening to Dan Gable, who didn't even have a point scored on him in his entire Olympic championships in 1972 when he won the gold medal. And you made a couple of great points here. One, Bono's seasoned. So, I mean, he's a seasoned wrestler. But to beat him, you've got to put moves together, back to back to back. And that's what Cyler Sanderson does a pretty good job of. So it's really a unique matchup here.
Well, he can score. He's just not quite penetrating as well as he's not getting to an ankle and knee so far. He's getting more to high crotches and that type of moves. But you know, this is a pride match too, because you know I don't think Bono really was ready to leave Iowa State at that particular time. You know, when Sanderson took over. So you know, there's a lot of pride on both sides here to walk away. That doesn't mean there's grudge or anything like that. There's just a lot of pride here.
Well, what you're talking about is the right kind of pride that a champion needs.
Right, the kind that, hey, I want to win this match. Both guys, I think, want to win this match. Pretty hard, pretty bad.
Cyler Sanderson out of Heber City, Utah. All the Sanderson brothers, of course. Cody Sanderson and Cale Sanderson in his corner, his brothers in his corner all the time. It's 1-0 in favor of Sanderson, and the strength of an escape happening earlier in this second period. 20 seconds left. Bono will get his opportunity.
Dan, you were talking about how the Sandersons, they're always in on the knees and the ankles. They wrestle long. They always seem to wrestle long, whether they're taller than their opponent or not. They're always snagging those lower extremities where, you know, somebody like Bono with that short stature, he's not getting down to your ankle.
No, he's loving the edge where he can blow you out of bounds, and he can just lower his level maybe a foot, where Sanderson's actually lower their level sometimes 2 feet.